Vehicles over 35 feet prohibited on Route 16, except local delivery. Restrictions enforced. It's always a good sign, y'all. I always say that. Signs like that are good signs. So apparently this is back of the dragon. Not to be confused with tail of the dragon, because I know I'm going to have 100 different comments talking about it. It's not the same thing. Tail of the dragon is in North Carolina and Tennessee. Back of the dragon is only in Virginia. It's between Tazewell, Virginia and Marion, Virginia. I'm coming from the Tazewell side. The signs say it's about 31 miles from here to Marion. Only about 20 of those are good miles. You know, the rest of it's more like this, just kind of laid back, driving, lots of residences and that kind of thing. But the 20 miles that you do get to ride that are curving, going across the mountains, are pretty cool. There's 3 main mountains to go across, and I'll kind of point them out as we get there. Hey, to me, the back of the dragon starts right here with this next curve I'm coming up to, which is a big old sweeping right-hander that's a lot of fun. So anyway, let's get to it and see how it goes. And of course I'm behind the car before I ever even get started, so it doesn't even matter. That's going 3 miles an hour. Yeah, I'm not following y'all. That's stupid. Don't drive that slow. And just like that, we are up the first mountain. It really doesn't go long. It takes much longer to get down the backside of it though. But so yeah, really you start going down the mountain here, and this is where you start getting into some curves. But you really don't want to get to playing around too much, because there's actually a few residences here. When people try to compare the back of the dragon and the tail of the dragon, there's a huge difference. The tail of the dragon is basically 11 miles of uninterrupted, kick-ass curved mountain road. Back of the dragon, where I'm at now, is a lot of good curves, but there's a lot of gaps where you have houses or, you know, other roads and intersections where you don't have that at tail of the dragon. Yeah, see, you pop around this curve and there's houses here. But once you get past this one, you're pretty much clear for a while. So feel free to play. There's not a lot of flows in this road, in my opinion. There's a lot of point and shoot, you know, darting from this turn to the next turn, which is a lot of fun. I've said before, you can have a whole lot of fun between about 30 miles an hour and 80 miles an hour, which is probably about all you're going to do on this road, unless you just want to get really crazy. I would urge you to not be hugging up on that yellow line going around these curves. Yeah, you can see through this one, but a lot of them, especially on the second and third mountains, you cannot see around them. So if somebody else is coming the other way and you're hogging up on the yellow line, you're going to run out of room really quickly. Just saying, you want to kind of stay back off of that yellow a little bit. And here's kind of what I'm talking about too. I've been only about, I don't know, maybe 3 miles, and I have to come through this intersection because we're down in the valley. So we're basically down the first mountain already. So I'm all about playing around and having a good time and driving aggressively and that kind of thing. But people live here, there's kids, there's dogs, there's people pulling out, all that kind of stuff. But once you get past that house, you're basically back into it. And this is, to me, it's one of the most fun parts of this ride. Is the next 2 miles, I'm guessing, to the top of this mountain. But it's pretty tight too, so you don't. But it's also a pretty tight section too. Like you can tell, these curves are very tight. Like I'm getting down to about 30 miles an hour going through these turns. There's not a lot of really high-speed turns here, but it's a very busy road. You're constantly getting ready for the next one, or slowing down, or speeding up. You're always doing something. think you could probably see why this is probably my favorite part, because it is just a constant back and forth and gaining elevation the whole time. You have these little short straightaways where you can usually bang through a gear, but then you're right back down where you were and setting up for the next one. What I mean about these curves, you cannot see around them, so it's very important that you give yourself a little bit of room, because you never know what that guy coming the other way is going to be doing. You may miss the curve altogether. That scared that guy a little bit. Can I have some more? And that, my friends, is the top of the second mountain. Now we're starting down. It says Marion 17 miles. A lot of people crashing this curve. I don't know if you can see it on the video, but there's black marks going straight into that ditch. They got just enough straightaway to get some speed up, and then they don't realize that you're hitting a 180-degree turn. Then they panic, cram on the brakes, ride it into the ditch. They had a layer down. Got dipping across the yellow lines. I came all this way to drive this awesome road, but I'm gonna try to straighten it out as much as possible. Parts of this road definitely have things in common with Tail of the Dragon, especially this section, this whole mountain, going up this mountain and coming down the back side of it, because you're just very, very busy. You're constantly setting up or exiting a corner. Nice little view off to your left of some mountains. Beautiful. Come up here, there's an intersection that, 16 keeps going that way, 42 goes that way. Basically, we just follow that sign that says Hungry Mother State Park on that. It says Marion's 15 miles, so we've covered about 15 to 16 miles now since we saw the sign. And I'm going to guess 8 or 9, maybe 10 miles of that has been fun mountain road, so it's good. Quite a few black marks going into this turn too. People bounce off that guardrail because they come down through there playing too much, wasn't paying attention, because you think it's going to flatten out because you're down the valley, and then they throw this big S curve at you right there. 15 miles an hour, next 3 miles. Alright, so this is the third mountain. I think it's probably the tightest as far as the turns and that kind of thing. It's probably the second funnest, the middle mountain being the funnest, this one being the second most fun, the first one being the least fun, mainly just because it's so short. 10 miles to Marion. I just missed a shift. Yeah, that's the best way to describe this mountain. There is a whole lot of 70 miles an hour back down to 30 miles an hour pretty quick. But that's a hell of a lot of fun, honestly. And cutting back down the backside of the third mountain, going into Marion. Hello. Beautiful turn. How pretty. Hard on the brakes. Hard on the throttle. .15 mile an hour curve. know they mean it. All the way down to 25. But going down to 25 means you get to accelerate back up to 70 real quick. That's the fun part. Whoosh. You can tell we're starting to get down to the bottom of it now. It's starting to level out a little bit. Curves are just more kind of flowing back now instead of herky-jerky all over the place. And in my mind, this curve right here marks the end of Back of the Dragon, because from here on out you're back in residential areas. So to me, I always start backing it down and getting back into road mode, I guess you can call it, instead of sport mode. Whatever. So yeah, that's Back of the Dragon in a nutshell. It's a cool road, it's worth coming to ride. So, but to try to compare it to Tail of the Dragon, which everybody does, because they're not that far apart, there's probably 3 hours of driving in between the two of them, maybe 4 at most. Tail of the Dragon is better. I mean, it's just a better road. They're both really, really fun to drive and ride. But the big advantage that Tail of the Dragon has, once you hit the beginning of it, say you're at the Killboy store, or you know, Crossroads of Time store, whatever it's called now, or at the Overlook, there are no intersections between there and there. Nothing. There's nowhere for people to be pulling on the road, pulling off the road, you know, as far as, you know, that. There's no houses, there's no driveways, there's no nothing. It's just a road through the middle of a forest, basically. Back of the Dragon is a road that connects little communities in between the mountains and the valleys together. You just go across the mountains to get from one to the next to the next. So you have some really good road, but it's broken up, and there's some residential areas in here and there, you know, things like that. Both of them are hella good roads, but if you call, you know, let's say we give Tail of the Dragon 8.8 stars out of 10. Then we would give Back of the Dragon like 7.5. Yeah, let's go with 7.5 stars compared to an 8.8 for Tail of the Dragon. And what would be a 10 out of 10 star? There are no 10 out of 10 stars because there are no perfect roads.